Today is not about to be a good day for the blue team, bro. They're cooked. All right. So as you saw in the intro, welcome back. And today, we've been doing a lot of things with cooking the Crimeans. We've been trolling the red team, unfavorably destroying the Saigon. Saigon was getting cooked. A lot of new countries were popping up. Today is the blue team's turn. Today, the blue team finally gets to feel the wrath of me running out of content. Okay, but first, this new Arabian Persian Gulf thing. They are kind of on a roll, and they're going to continue that. These guys have been causing a lot of terror in this region because of their connection to the Mughals. These guys are a blue team ally. They're a little bit done with the Mughals because the Mughals are terrorizing not only blue team India, which affects these guys' trade, also Himalayas, which also affects these guys' trade. And so, being a little bit done with this, they are going to launch an invasion. Kind of not even an invasion, more of like a message to this is to send a message to the Mughals by invading their little helper state, which is made up of Mughals. However, Mughals are too scared, or like the actual main Mughal thing, they're too scared to annex this because then blue team might actually crash out. However, today I think they're going to be their hand will be forced because this invasion actually kind of like the military general put in charge of this invasion is the greatest out of all of this country, and it's the guy who led the first charges against the Indus Valley civilization back when they controlled all this land. So, oh, actually, no, these guys' first ever war was against the Persians. I remember now. So he's the guy that led that. So he's out here, and he's kind of been like fading away, and he was enjoying that popularity. So he, even though his orders were just to do a little bit of a skirmish to scare these guys, he's gonna assume full danger. He's going to proclaim that these guys' constitution actually allows for something called it's like martial law in real life, but kind of different. Basically, instead of declaring military rule, it gives the leading general of the operation complete freedom of the thing when they declare the war they're in or the fight they're in like a top level threat to the state. So when they declare that, they can go to war, or like they can like assume full power. They can be like the acting president, but only of the troops in combat. So he does that. He orders troops to shut down the border. So now these guys have no supplies and they need to live off the land. So basically, they just made this into more of a rebellion than an invasion. The capital is almost instantly captured, but that don't really matter because everyone, one, lives over here and over here, and two, they're mostly fleeing into Mughal lands. So yeah. Now quickly, the invasion begins spreading. Stanistan is kind of caught off guard because these guys were a little bit weak. Stanistan knew that, oh my god, bro, I need to lower the tolerance. Stan knew that these that the any countries would not really get close to this colony of theirs, which is completely surrounded by no man's land, even cut off from mainland Stan. It's a complete military fortress, and deep inside of it, in the center, various central areas, they actually they actually do the what's it called? They do military technology and stuff and experiments, classified stuff. So they're getting really scared that these guys are getting really close because the Mughal guys, they never had the resources or the ambition to try and get up here. These guys definitely do, and they have the blue team on their side. And since these guys applied to join the red team alliance, they're kind of already a somewhat target for the blue team. Like even though the blue team's trying to be more peaceful with the red team, like obviously there's some bad blood between the two. And so they're going to actually join this and they're going to launch a blitzkrieg. They're going to absolutely destroy these bordering regions, and this is mostly just going to be to actually dissolve these regions completely once the war happens. Now that caught the guys off guard, and so they're going to begin getting pushed over here as well as they begin trying to defend over there. And now, wow, that's pretty sad. They're literally sandwiched. They are going to capitulate. So, taking a look at this peace treaty, um, I would say I feel bad, but honestly, I kind of wanted to do this a lot of episodes ago and just never got around to doing it. So this is one of the few countries I did not feel bad about killing off. If you are a supporter of this country, firstly, what are you doing? This is literally the definition of a side character. Secondly, I'm sorry, your country's gone. Pick a new country to support. So, okay, so let's look at this. That's gone now completely. That's under these guys. So, all right. Okay. So that general is most definitely going to be catapulted back up, and he's actually a new role is going to be created for him. He's going to be the top head of all military divisions of the country. So, even though Air Force doesn't exist yet, technically Air Force, Navy, everything like that, he is going to be in charge of everything, and he don't have to report to the main military anymore. So now, literally, the military is separate from the state. This can be bad, can be good. He is still below the president, so any decision he makes can technically get vetoed by the president or the prime minister, whatever is the leader of this thing. I think it's a monarchy right now, these guys. But yeah, whatever the head of state can veto him, but he don't have to go through the head of state to do the things. So if he wants to declare war on these guys, he'll declare war on them. Now the monarchy, they can veto that, but if they don't, then he just declared war. He doesn't like have to get all that approval. But if he gets vetoed later on, then he might actually lose his job if he does something like that. He just wanted to be in the headlines, so he does not really care. Many are saying to also actually like uncolonize all of this to like kind of get away from Stanistan a bit, which is also going to be agreed upon. So yeah, a lot of this new place that these guys conquered mostly is just gonna get uncolonized. That's kind of sad. That was some good lives that were lost just to get uncolonized. Like that's crazy. Now, Stanistan really want to doesn't really want to border these guys either, so they're also going to uncolonize. So yeah, I think the Indian storyline, Central Asian storyline, I think this is officially where the two part ways. Especially because in the upcoming episodes, which you should stay tuned for, subscribe so you don't miss those. In the upcoming episodes, we're probably gonna get around to Persia's independence from Stanistan. Okay, so with that, that's done. These guys are actually going to also let go of this little thing to because a lot of citizens were wandering in those areas which are legal to go into. However, those areas get a little bit too close, a little bit too touchy with the secret laboratory over here. So they're gonna have to uncolonize that as well. Stan looking a lot smaller, not gonna lie. But you know what? It had to be done. It just had to be done. Um. Okay. With this, let's move on to the next thing today. Abuja Republic. Ah, yes. So the rebels over here, they successfully kicked out the red team because the blue team was like, "Yeah, I give up. I'm not even helping y'all anymore." This is where it comes back to bite them. So I'm gonna highlight these guys brown just because technically it's the same like country but two different governments. So it was the same color, but that's gonna be confusing. So I'm gonna make it brown now. So these guys are basically completely done with foreign control. This is a quick recap. They're completely done with foreign control. They want both blue team and red team out of here. I think last episode, you guys should go watch that if you haven't. Last episode, they successfully kicked out the red team. So now, blue team is going to get absolutely wrecked. Okay, the invasion is launched, and these guys actually announced there will be no peace until the blue team leaves. So, you know, quite quite the ambitious claim. I'm not going to lie, rebels. That's quite ambitious. Especially considering the blue team literally recovered all of this northern territory when the red team pushed them up all the way over to here. Now, these guys know that that's what the blue team did, so they have a very good thing. See, where the red team messed up was they took too long. When they pushed the blue team up here, by the time they did that, supplies were on their way from Abyssinia, and right as they were trying to get further in, supplies and a lot of extra troops arrived. So these guys are trying to do this as fast as possible. And quickly, they're going to push their entire military, like literally their entire military, the police force, just like people who are supposed to like the police, the literally the people who go like into your streets and they just yeah, the patrol people, police, I think, yeah. I'm tripping. But even those guys are going to send everything that works for the government in a job that requires some level of violence, like, or stopping violence, or like crime related. You get the point. The military and the police and everything else is going in. The only people left guarding the city are the prime minister's guards. That's literally it, and they're only guarding the main city. So absolute hell breaks out across the rest of the country as criminals realize that there's no police left to stop them. However, you know what? Maybe the gamble will pay off because with the police also getting involved and being trained very well and stuff. Well, actually, no, they're not trained well because they're supposed to stop like civilians from doing crimes. Now they have to fight a foreign military, so they might be a little bit cooked. It's okay. Maybe they'll manage. You'll have to see. You'll have to see. You should like and subscribe. I want to get to 800. And no, not 800. Actually, yeah, thank you for that. Now I can say I want to get to 900 subscribers. Subscribe, please. The invasion is going to continue, and eventually, yeah, that's honestly not looking that good. Now these guys are gonna be tasked with are gonna have have a special strategy, and that's gonna be to grab the entire eastern border, just because that's where the supplies come from, and they're going to be successful in that. They are going to cut that off. Now blue team is now going to start sending supplies. By the time they started sending supplies, red team was like till here. No, actually till here. So I think honestly these guys are doing way better than the red team because they're all the way over here, and only now has blue team started to send the supplies and the extra troops and everything. Except blue team, I'm pretty sure when the blue team started fighting red team over here, they didn't have all of this under their control. Now they do. So they are going to start sending stuff through this big country over here and through there as well. And they're going to start sending stuff from here. They're going to start flying stuff out. They're going to start flying stuff from here. Red team don't hold a grudge anymore against them, so they can also send stuff through here technically. A lot. That's the naval threat is really going to lead to a lot of military having been pulled back to actually support the that. Also, blue team for the first time is actually going to get like first time since the war with the red team, they're actually going to get involved in this. Like not just through their little puppet, they're going to get full on involved. They're going to declare war and they're going to make multiple landings across the rebel cities, capturing a lot of points on the coast. However, because of the extreme patriotism, I don't know what I'm saying. Patriotism. Because of that, they're actually not going to be able to push any further because civilians will begin to help fight the blue team. Meanwhile, uh, yeah, this is not looking good for the blue team. I'm gonna be honest. Blue team is falling miserably. Like, how do you lose to some country that just became a thing last episode? When you're literally been here since the start of the series, that's embarrassing. Blue team supporters, you should be embarrassed. No, I'm joking. Please don't leave. Keep watching. From here, I think we can successfully say they probably engulf the capital at this point, and they're gonna push the rest of the people. So now they have to try to figure out a peace treaty in time before the blue team actually like gets to their capital, which is starting to look a lot less possible because the blue team has just made another landing on the outskirts of the capital. At this point, these guys call everybody in the borders if they are true Abuja like they truly support their country to come help fight, and that's actually going to be very successful as almost everything is going to be kicked off. All the evacuated troops are going to be brought here, unless they have medical discharge. If they're getting medically discharged, they're obviously going to go back home. If they're not, they're coming over here. And a one last ditch effort is made. Blue team gets to the capital's outskirts, however, they are pushed back. Now, you would think this would be the end of it. However, it's not. Blue team does not sign any peace treaty. Most of the world moves to actually like to recognize the country as independent once again. Blue team does not. They still recognize their puppet north side. So, yeah, that's gonna cause some issues. I'll still leave the division over here. However, some it's gonna be something. A lot of countries, some notable countries that are gonna be recognizing these guys are going to be France, Red Team, Mamluks, and Himalayas, which is literally a blue team ally. So yeah, other than Himalayas, all these countries are going to be hit with heavy sanctions by the blue team for recognizing these guys. Rest of the countries are gonna either not recognize or unofficially recognize, which means like they're gonna hold ties with them, but they're not gonna say that they recognize them. Okay, next we can go red team. Okay, it's red team time. So red team and the Caspian Alliance, they've had history. No, they haven't. But red team and Azerbaijan have. And remember when red team claimed all of this? Yeah, I think the red team is finally a little bit sick of Azerbaijan existing. Now, this land is also Armenian land. So, red team claims this, Armenia claims this. Armenian nationalists claim this, actually. Not Armenians. Most Armenians actually live over here, I think. Wait, where's Armenia in real life? If this is Azerbaijan, Armenia is like about here. Yeah, so most Armenians, if we're going off of real life, don't even live in this area. It doesn't matter. It's not real Armenians. It's Civilization Restart Armenians. And I'll name them something else. Black Sea rebels. Let's say that because this thing touches the Black Sea. Black Sea nationalists live over there, and previously the red team was trying to cut a deal with them where they join the red team, and then the red team gives them some land over here. However, that has failed, and the red team is finally done. And so they're going to launch an invasion. Now, a lot of these Black Sea separatist leaders who were actually previously got refuge in the red team are actually going to start being either oofed mysteriously, or kidnapped, or deported back to Azerbaijan. and a lot of them are going to be held hostage, or jailed and stuff like that. The usual red team stuff. Most of them, though, are going to safely escape back into Black Sea land, or they're uh they're going to be deported to that land. Either way, most of them are going to somehow find their way back here through various means. They're going to start helping the Azerbaijanis because they're going to be like, these guys are invading, the red team is invading our homeland. So we are going to help whoever decides to help us. And Azerbaijan is going to be the thing that decides to help them. So yeah, not going to do much because it's the red team, but like, yeah. Now, red team also instructs every country that supports it to actually put sanctions on Azerbaijan, military sanctions, and actually all types of sanctions except for humanitarian stuff. So everyone's gonna comply with that except for the blue team. Like literally, blue team allies are gonna comply, like Himalayas, like Arabian Sea. Blue team is not gonna comply. They're gonna say we are going to give them everything but military aid. So yeah, Azerbaijan basically no military for you. Part of the countries who are complying is going to be a lot of the Caspian Sea countries. Well, that's literally just two. Okay, Georgia is going to because they hate Azerbaijan. Caspia is going to because they don't. This is one of their biggest enemies, even though they're in that Roman Empire thing, Holy Roman Empire type thing. This is still one of their biggest enemies, and these guys are, as you can see, in the middle of applying to the red team. So they don't really want that. Also, because they have no way of accessing the blue team, which means if the red team is on their doorstep, that's not going to be good. We've seen the red team violate Azerbaijan before to send troops into Caspia, and they will probably do it again if they have to defend an ally. Anyways, back over here, the blue team is going to successfully capitulate all of this, and from here, Azerbaijan is going to have no choice but to surrender. So yeah, with those two supposed allies of Azerbaijan, not really wanting to be a part of it anymore, Azerbaijan is going to be forced to leave the alliance as well. And unfortunately for Azerbaijan, right after they leave, because Georgia and Caspia are both no longer being in a risk, also they lose that, are no longer in a risk because of Azerbaijan also being there and Azerbaijan hating the red team. They are now going to be able to successfully actually turn this alliance into not only an economic alliance but a military alliance. So now it's very very close. These two have bonded very closely, and in fact, actually, we are going to have some new members, which is the next part of this. So first new member is going to be these guys. Now these guys, they're a part of the Red Team's alliance. However, I guess they want some of that extra protection. Now Red Team says that if they join this, that then they'll be forced to leave the Red Team. I don't think Red Team's really acting on that, but like, you know what, Red Team, you do you. Wait, hold up, I want to test something again. Wait, I'm confused. I'm lost. I know these guys are applying to join something. Is it not the Red Team? I'm lost. What are y'all applying to join, bro? What? What are y'all applying to? What? 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 Wait, I'm so lost. Wait, what? Okay, I'm a little bit confused. I know all these countries with those little spots are trying to join the red team, but I just circled the red team with it, and that didn't work. So I'm a little bit lost. I'm not going to lie. I am a little bit lost. I don't. Okay. Well, either way, they're trying to join the red team. That's the main purpose of that. Maybe I. Huh. Hmm. That's That's quite interesting. What if I have to do brown to do it to get it there? Well, I know it's not blue team. Is it blue team? No, it's not blue. I'll figure that out later. More importantly, um, this thing with the red team kind of partly having them join in the application status is actually going to apply to these guys as well, who are going to be given the um, special like. Okay, hold up. Let's erase this. Let's come over here, grab this color, and there we go. So these guys, their application is now pending process. So we don't know. We don't know what will happen with them. I just wanna. This is the same color. Yeah, yeah. This is the same color. Okay. Anyways, so they have been technically kicked out of the Red Team alliance. However, it's currently under processing if the Red Team is gonna allow them to be a part of two military alliances at once. Because a lot of people are saying that it's unfair to let them do that because they haven't let the Himalayas join because of that. But they're like, they put the Himalaya, and then everyone else is saying like, well, you put Himalayas in application process, so you should do the same with them because Himalayas was already a part of the military alliance. So Red Team does exactly that. These guys are now in pending application. Meanwhile, let's actually next episode let's put an end to these applications. We'll figure something out for them. Next thing we can do is expansion of Caspian Sea Alliance. Yeah, so they're gonna expand to these guys, and then I think one more country that would probably like to join is probably gonna be Crimea. Actually, yeah. So Crimea is going to hold a vote to join, and that vote is going to pass with most people voting to join the alliance. However, now they have to apply, and they're thinking about it because Crimea is a really strong member. However, Caspia and Georgia kind of no, actually just Caspia is kind of opposing that because they're like, if these guys join, my spot as the strongest military power is going to be gone. It's going to become their alliance as opposed to my alliance. That's okay, fair enough. Next thing we're going to do, Sri Lankan Revolution. So Sri Lanka has been a part of the red team for a pretty long time now, actually. And I think today is when they finally got sick of that because today they're going to be rebelling. They've been a part of the red team alliance, and now they want a nationalist, isolationist, militaristic regime led by the military ruler of the state. Yeah. Wait, no, isn't the red team ruler also the military? Yeah. Wait, if I'm remembering correctly, the guy who red team put in charge was also a military thing. So now he's getting taken down by the same military that he used to take down the previous legitimate leader. That's pretty ironic. I'm not going to lie. Honestly, he's been doing a pretty bad job, and the red team doesn't care to give these guys any aid. They're giving these guys the bare minimum aid just to keep them alive, but not enough to make them flourish, so that they're dependent on the red team still, and the red team can have a little aquatic military base. However, I think that's going to finally come to an end, as the red team is still not going to give any military aid beyond what they normally give. So they're not going to give any special military aid to these guys to defend off the rebels. And the the leader has also been pocketing a lot of the aid money instead of giving it to the people. So the people are especially mad. So they're getting less than minimum wage. If you look at it like minimum wage in real life, the people are getting less than minimum wage aid. So less than what red team determined them to need to just go in a straight line, no economic boom, no economic decline. But he's been pocketing some of that, so that means there is slight economic decline. So slow and steady, they're declining. However, now the capital is captured, and as he's escaping, his boat is also captured, and the new military general is going to oof him and become the king. Now, first thing this new military general is going to do is definitely going to be to pull out completely from the red team alliance. That's gone. And he's going to go to the blue team, and he's going to actually send delegations to the blue team as well as to Shanghai. He's not going to send any to the red team. He is going to send one to negotiate, like, um, the red team wants to make any repairs to these guys with these guys. However, red team's going to decline the delegation. They're going to say, no, we don't really care about you. But blue team's going to accept, and so is Shanghai. So with that, we can go to the final event of this video. Alright, so we have to be fast with this because the video is already at 22 minutes, but it's okay. Mughals versus Bangladesh or Bengal Republic. Now this hasn't happened since like the start of the series, so it's been a while. But today I think the Mughals are feeling a little bit adventurous because they launch an attack into the northern half of Bengal. Now you might be saying, "Hey, shouldn't the blue team get involved?" Well, no, because the blue team's alliance, because of the way Bengal runs itself as a country, they separate inner Bengal as actual Bangladesh, these things as colonies. And the blue team isn't obliged to defend a colony. They can if they want to, which they have done with Bengal in the past many times. But now the Mughals aren't really that much of a threat, and Bengal isn't that much of a power anymore to be worth defending. Blue team has also moved their eyes to Africa and Australia instead of India, and they kind of have their Indian thing locked down already. They don't really need Bengal as a distraction for the Mughals anymore, so they're not going to get involved, which is absolutely going to destroy Bengal because they were very reliant on this. They're going to start a little bit of a campaign into Mughal territory. However, it's going to be instantaneously pushed back and met with an even deadlier response that is going to lead to many in Bengal questioning if the war is worth it. Now, the unconditional surrender thing isn't really an option because the Mughals don't really care if Bangladesh surrenders or not. They want this for a morale boost. So it would be pretty good if the Bengalis don't surrender, because that's going to mean their population is going to be more invested into reading the daily newspaper and probably going to start appreciating their country more and more. Now, quickly as we can see, this is hell on earth for the Bengalis living in the north because they're going to be completely destroyed. And after reaching about here, I think this is where Bengal is going to be forced into that peace treaty. So taking a look at this peace treaty, it is going to be unconditional. So actually, The Bengalis get no say in this whatsoever. Um, so taking a look at this, we can see that these guys are not really caring that much. I'm gonna be honest. They just take a little bit of land. However, that don't mean that that's all that happens, because Bengal is going to be forced to give up more land, not because of not because of the Mughals, but actually because of the Mughals forcing these guys to actually give up all of their overseas colonies, which the main thing was very reliant on, and now they don't really have the money to keep the thing running. Also, there are protests in the capital that completely destroy it. And before we move on, quick little revolution also happens. Like absolute hell breaks out everywhere, and yeah, in the chaos, the protests and everything, the king actually resigns, and the head of state is changed to a new person who wants to start this country off fresh. So actually, not only are they going to also they're going to get kicked out of the blue team alliance because blue team does not want to deal with them anymore. And the new guy is going to actually decolonize all of this, move over here, and promise to put a more emphasis on united Bengal as opposed to using the outer provinces as literal overseas colonies, even though they share land border with the mainland. So yeah, but as a part of that treaty, this outer portion, the northern stuff, does need to get uh does need to get like decolonized. Also, I just realized by accident I turned these guys to look more like modern day Bangladesh. So I guess that's good. Um okay, so they're going to put their capital right here. Okay, wait, let's make that right there. Meanwhile, the Mughals are going to annex all the stuff they just got. So they're going to capture all of this. And that will be the last thing in this video. So if you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe. I go watch another video actually, because I've been doing some Roblox videos and I'm doing a lot. If you're new to the series, make sure you go catch up because it's a good series, bro. Um, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.